Hello, everybody. What's up? Episode 3 of the Flyer Live podcast. Mitch, we are still not canceled, even though I swore a few more times last week. I'm Josh. Mitch is next to me on my right, and we're here every Thursday chatting amateur golf just the way we like it. I may have made a wave or two in the professional golf world today, but we're going to attempt to stick to amateur golf today. Because that's what we like, that's what we're good at. I'll continue to preach. I have done it the last two. I'll do it again today. At the beginning here, if you're with us and you hear anything weird or you don't hear anything at all, drop a comment in the chat so we can get it fixed right away. We're still going through a little newbie growing pain stuff with audio. So do that, please, if you hear anything weird or bad. Also, if you're in the chat, just chat along just for fun. We like to chat with you guys as much as we like to talk to each other. We'll eventually get sick of each other. I promise that, Mitch. And it'll also keep things fun, interesting. It's cool to get off topic for a while. We have some stuff to talk about occasionally. Today, we have a guest with us that we'll talk to. But if we, get off topic, that's super fun too. So we did it last week and that was a good time. This week, you will notice we have a guest with us, Mitch. This is our good friend GolferHD on X, and that's what I know you by. Your name on here says Brian, so your name must be Brian. Is that who you are?
Actually, Brian. Yeah, that's my name.
Are we saving the last name? I think sometimes I have my last name on here. No doxing.
No doxing in here.
Your Twitter account does say where you're from. But we don't.
Well, he's wearing the Yins golf, man. You got he's a Yinzer.
What? I don't even know what that is. Can you explain to me what that is?
You don't say Yins where you're at?
I don't. Yeah, I have no clue what that is. Is that a?
That's all I know.
Is that a East? I'm not gonna. It's on your Twitter, so whatever. But is that like an East Coast-ish saying, or is
it's Pittsburgh only?
Oh, okay. Oh, there. See, you doxed yourself now. Now this is on you, Brian. Okay.
It's sort of like y'all, but less classy.
Y'all, but less classy. Okay, is it Brian? Is it cold in Pittsburgh? Can you play golf outside right now?
It is frigid. Today was a little bit warmer. It was 28, but the last week or so, low teens, minus temperatures in the morning. So I am in my garage, practicing, working on the swing. And it is still freezing in there.
Lovely. What? So you're practicing in your garage, you said. Do you have like your own setup in there? Do you just have like a mat in there? Is it like a big tricked out area, or how are you practicing in the winter since it's cold? Mitch and I kind of went over how we did it last week or the week before, I think. But how are you doing that? Everybody does a little differently.
I built a enclosure, so I built my own sort of built-in simulator. So theoretically, I can still park a car in there. I have curtains that kind of pull over, impact screen, launch monitor, PC. My friends and I, we went to the simulator quite often. It got quite expensive, so I thought, why not just build one?
Fair. What? So you guys have like simulators and stuff. Is that like a big business there? Is it new? In Minnesota here, it's taking off big time. Like 5 years ago, there was like felt like there was like sort of kind of some starting to be built up, and now you can like barely drive a few blocks before you run into another simulator. So is it like newish there? Been there for a while, or how's it look in Pittsburgh?
There were a few kind of like independent, now the big brands are coming in. So 5 Iron Golf has a big location in the city, and X Golf has another one. So it's getting more popular. they've been here about a couple years, so that's about the length of time I've been playing in a simulator. So not overly populated. I may or may not be interested in maybe exploring that path as well. But
Oh, as in opening your own?
yeah, maybe.
All right. Breaking news. Hit the
That-
button.
Breaking news.
That is breaking news. That's big time breaking news. You can feel free to open up another one in Minnesota. I could, as long as it's just slightly less expensive than what all the other ones are. I'm in. Maybe I'll go in on the business with you if you open one here.
I'll ask the franchise manager, what the territory is.
I like it. Something I want to know, what got you into golf? When did you start golfing? If you want to just give a little background of, just your golf history.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friends, I mean, it goes back to high school. They were avid golfers. I was not. I think I had some, flea market clubs, and I would go out just to have fun. Not any good, to the point where just pick it up and let's go to the next hole. So I played with them for years, and I kind of fell out of it. And I missed out on it. A lot of like guys trips, a lot of just good times. So I kind of got back into it, but self-taught still wasn't any good. Fell out of it, got back into it, fell out of it again, and along came sort of like 2020, and really wanted to be outside, and that was the time I really kind of started getting into it pretty seriously.
Awesome. Yeah, 2020 seems like the time where everyone who was like half serious about golf, like really just buckled down. Like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm going all in.
2020 is what ruined public golf. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah. That's not, yeah. We don't necessarily have to go down that road today with Brian here. Maybe it's something we explore something else another day. But yeah, there was some stuff happening.
I think for me at that time, like I wanted to be better, and I had this moment of like clarity that if I don't practice, if I don't have a coach, like why should I expect to be good, right? And kind of like once I had that kind of like moment of clarity, a lot of things changed, right? I got a coach, took practice seriously, and that's kind of like been my journey since over the last 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Who are you working with as a coach? Is it in person? Is it online? What's that experience been like?
I was just kind of taking notes here. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm on my 5th coach.
Oh,
jeez.
Yeah.
And I started some online with some Instagram sort of influencers. You've probably seen them, and it was useful for sure. But I didn't like the asynchronous nature. Send a video, get a response. Like it just didn't work for me. So I started doing a little bit of in person at that golf simulator, and that was good. Had a couple. Actually missed somebody here. Had a couple really good people there, and I won a contest, so I want to on X. I want to give away for Jason Nickel.
Nice.
So if you know Jason, I want to give away. Talk to him. Kind of swapped it out for some lessons, and I've been sort of working with him. More recently, last couple months, pretty extensively, and a little bit before that.
So before you started working with coaches, what was, if you don't want to disclose your handicap, you don't have to. The handicap police are out in full force, especially in the winter, because the only thing to talk about is improvement and what your handicap is. But you don't have to disclose it if you want. But if you want to, how good were you before, and how have you improved with your coaching?
I mean, I was probably a very vanity 22.
Vanity 22. Okay.
Vanity
All right.
22.
All right.
Lots
It's like
of
a 27.
I know.
Of, second shots, lots of gimmies. Lots of.
I know some vanity 22s.
And it didn't mean I couldn't shoot a good round. Um, I would sometimes shoot low mid 80s, sometimes shoot 105. you know, so not a lot of consistency. So that's kind of what got me into coaching. So I think two things really helped. One, I got fitted for clubs, which was a big debate. Because I'm like, if I'm not any good, why should I get fitted for clubs? Um, Finding clubs that fit me, I think made a big difference. Didn't feel like I had to move the club so much. And then that sort of goal of wanting to just be more consistent because I knew, if I could get a par, I can do it on more than one hole. And why wasn't I doing that frequently enough?
So what are you down to now, or do you not want to disclose in case the handicap police come running by?
You can find me. I'm 11.7.
All right.
That's good.
And yeah, so like I've turned in a few sub 80 rounds. 78 I think is my all-time low. But I'll also turn in a 92 or something here and there depending on the course, if it's a new course, especially if it's a new course. I've chatted with Mitch online about course planning and things like that, and that is definitely not a strength of mine.
Hey man, I'm a .8 and I got 90s in me, so
Yeah, been there. Yeah. Well, that's a lot of improvement in a short amount of time. How long did it take you to get from like that 22-ish down to the 11.7?
About 4 years. So I started in 2020. I think I dug up some videos. I posted one on the account from that was May of 2020. I think a lot of bad things. A lot of those are still in the swing, but I think maybe I manage them a little bit better. But over the course of those 4 years, and I think I went from really bad to like 18 to kind of 16 to 14 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
what so with that improvement, do you have goals for your 2025 season, as far as like do you have a specific spot you want to be in terms of your handicap, or are you trying to get to a spot where you can compete, or what's the end goal here? Because I've seen your Twitter, you're posting your swings, you're talking about all the improvement, you're doing the stack system. We can talk about all that stuff if you want, but you're doing all this stuff. So it doesn't look like you're okay with being at 11, so you must have a goal or a plan.
Well, yeah. So I feel like I'm definitely have sub 10 in me, right? I'm not sure how far I can get, but I feel like I can at least get from that high 11 to 9 or 8, right? I feel like I can. That's definitely within reach this year. Whether or not I do it or not, I guess we'll see. But that's an immediate goal. More importantly, we got an annual guys trip, and I just really want to put it on my friends. I beat them from time to time, but I think this is the year. I take all the money.
I love that so much. Like just that little competition, just to I'm just gonna beat you, whatever it takes. I love it.
It is funny it, golf in general is supposed to be just you versus the course. You go out in the course, you shoot a score, you get a score, you're done. You either feel good about it or feel bad about it. And at some point, somewhere, somehow, everybody just decided, like, when I play, I'm going to play, but I also feel like I need to beat somebody. Even, like, I used to do this back when I was trying to get a little better. I would play with random people on the golf course. I would pay attention to what their scores were. I would say, I just want to beat them. I don't know who they are. I barely even have seen them swing a golf club, but I'm playing with them in this group, so I want to beat them. And I have no clue why, but it's very funny that it's like we're playing a game where other people really don't even matter, but we've ingrained ourselves in golf for us to actually care about how somebody else does, even though we can't control it. It's very interesting.
Right. That's kind of the thing about competition in general, though, right? I mean,
Sure.
it's supposed to make you strive to bring the best out of yourself. So just by competing against somebody, just your friends for a couple of bucks, whatever it happens to be, that little bit of competition helps you to try to stay on top of your game throughout the entire round because you want to win. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's how you get better. That's how Brian's going to get down to below a 10 is through that competition.
Yeah, totally. My coach has always pushed me while we're improving. Said if you ever want to be better, even in any type of competition, if you ever want to be better at it, you can make better swings, you can do all that stuff all you want, but you're never going to learn the feeling of how it feels to be in competition and kind of the adrenaline rushes and all that stuff that happens when you're competing. You're never going to understand how to adjust your game to that if you just don't go do it. So yeah, you gotta practice that as much as you practice anything else, which is fun in itself too.
Right. But speaking of competition, I want to ask Brian about that too, because I know you
Yes.
you were in a competition last year, right? And you're going to be playing again this year. I want to know a little bit more about that. How did that go? What's your plan for the upcoming season here for that?
Yeah, so last year was the first time I ever considered. Well, I guess I considered it before, but ever felt confident enough to join. There's an association, the WPGA, Western Pennsylvania Golf Association, has events, and most of them you have to be, I think, sub 6 or lower, right? They have one event a year, which is a net, so they flight it. So they take all, obviously whoever signs up, flight it. So I was in the middle tier, which was kind of cool. And, it sort of gave a little additional purpose to the practice and the training. And that's kind of when I was chatting with Mitch about, how do you plan around? How do you use the metrics to kind of help you get better? As good as much as I think I like the course plan, I don't know that I was consistent enough that it actually made too much of a difference. Because I could imagine hitting a shot in a particular area, but if I sprayed it one way or another, right, that could be challenging. So that was my first kind of like sanction event. It was pretty cool. They, announce your name and put on a nice event. So I'll be doing that again, and that is September of 25. But before that, through Jason, through my coach and Skillest, there's a pro-am in Dubai in March, right? So I'll be headed to Dubai in first ever pro-am event. I got invited last year from another guy, a local guy, but wasn't able to make it due to some other commitment. So I was kind of, disappointed about that. But
So you're going to Dubai. Are you playing with Jason? Like you're teaming up with him? Is that interesting?
Yeah.
I have never even heard. Actually, that's I was going to say I've never heard anything of it, but I did, scrolling through my feed today, I did see a pop-up about it of some sort, and I didn't read it because you don't want to know what my phones look like today. Can you, I'm interested, fill me in on like what that is, or like how that even works, or whatever. I'm interested to know what it is. I have no clue what it is.
You might be surprised. I don't know a ton about it, but
Okay, all right, well, good.
Jason coaches on Skillest, and they are partnering with another guy that does golf trips to Dubai, Andy Carter, to set up this pro-am event. Right. There's 4 courses over the course of 4 days. There's, I guess, a meet and greet on Sunday, night golf on Monday at the Faldo course at Emirates. Then we play Dubai Creek, the Earth course, and God, I'm terrible with names. The one they just played this weekend in the DP Tour.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it either now.
Is it Magillas?
I could look it up really quick. We can make this really easy.
Starting, it's that course. So there's 4 courses, and Friday we kind of have a free day, so we're looking for a 5th.
Is that so I may not have may not have heard. So are all those events part of the Pro-Am, or are you going to play and then like just one of them is the Pro-Am, or how does that work? I mean, you might have
I'm
just
not
said it, but
sure.
I might not have heard correctly.
I'm not sure actually. I didn't get that detail. I was
Okay,
so
gotcha.
excited about booking the trip. I didn't ask too many details about which one is the actual event.
That's something you can figure out when you get over there. Yeah, no big deal.
After I adjust.
Yeah, right. Well, I want to talk a little bit because you mentioned the course management. So I did want to touch on that a little bit today. Maybe it's something that we get into a little bit more depth to. You know, what's your biggest struggle with that, and what is your biggest strength? You know, of trying to make that plan of attack for a course.
Yeah, I think like part of it is like spatial. When I see a course in 2D on a phone, it's kind of hard for me to imagine, topography of the course, right? Is how big is the hill? How much uphill is it? So, I've looked at holes and thought, oh, it's whatever, 150 yards. I'll hit an 8-iron, and then I walk up to the hole and I'm on the tee box, and it's 80 feet downhill, and it's an easy approach wedge or something like that. So I think part of it is like that spatial awareness and feel for like how it's going to play. Like I said, especially for new courses. So that kind of like, that's hard for me. And then, just kind of, for the most part, I try to give myself as much distance off that tee shot as I can within reason, right? So even if like the course planning says, maybe I should lay up, hit a 5-iron or something, like just the consequence of doing that kind of like ruins my round, right? If I lay up and hit a bad shot, now I'm both shorter and off distance. So like I think those have historically been reasons that I haven't really done it. But I think as I get more consistent, as I get into more serious events and things that I really want to do well at, I recognize like I need to, do better, be better at that.
Yeah, maybe Josh has a little bit more information to add here because the topography is actually something I struggle with a lot too because we can't see all of that when we're just looking at the map, whether you're using an app like ShotPad or an Arcos, whatever it happens to be, right? And you're not really seeing the undulation of the course. I know Josh has done quite a bit of caddying, so I'm hoping, maybe he can add a little bit of what he does on that front end.
Yep. Yeah. I prepare more for the courses than probably anybody does, and maybe that's because I'm a nutso. But so it does depend what app you use, but you can actually see the topography a little bit in Google Earth if you use that. So what I do is I have an app. I use 18 Birdies for my scoring app, and it has GPS and everything on it. So I usually put my phone down next to me, and I have whatever course I'm going to play there, so I can see it hole by hole. And then I'll go to Google Earth, and you just search the address, and it zooms down on the course. Very cool. And then you just kind of zoom yourself in to find, if you don't know the course, obviously you don't know what hole's number 1, number 2. Wish they would add that, by the way. Google Earth, if you're listening, on a golf course, when people zoom in, just like have a little 1 where the first hole is, or a 2. So when people are looking, Google Earth, do that, please. Anyways, so I'll look at the first hole on 18 Birdies, and then on Google Earth, I'll go find it. I'll zoom in on it. Then I'll rotate it so that the tee box is on the bottom of my screen. The green is somewhere at the top of my screen, and then I'll screenshot it. I'll export it, and then I'll do all types of notes and drawings and stuff all over it. For the most part, you can see if it's uphill or downhill that has like some sort of regular, like if it's slightly uphill, like you're not gonna be able to tell that really, I don't think, unless somebody has a way better eyes or better version of it than me. But you can kind of tell like when it's really uphill or really downhill. You can get a good feel for that, which I've found helpful. But also with that does then is, one, it's a way more updated picture of the course usually. Like a lot of the apps are behind sometimes, so it's way more updated. You can see more details when you zoom in. So like if I feel like there's a tree out there that I might want to aim at, I can zoom all the way in on that tree if I want and see exactly what it looks like. You see if there's like some other type of landmark next to it that might be easier for me to look at, all types of stuff. So to do that with every single hole, draw over, put notes on it, do all that stuff, and then I actually print every single one of those out and put it in a book. Let me might have some for you. I'm sitting right next to me actually.
He's a little bit of a psycho, you know. It's very in depth. It comes in great handy, but you know.
Let me get this thing out of my way. So it's just paper. Here I have, it's not going to be able to zoom in, but it has all my yardages, full swing, and then all the clock method swings, which we talked about last week, which I love so much, and it's in my book here. And then I'll just skip. So full pictures, and then the drawings on here are my shot dispersion with my driver. So that's also a key piece to put into a book if you can, is put your shots on there so you can tell like what's going to happen. So this, I have it in a spot where I know my dispersion is going to be safe from, there's water over here. I made sure that my dispersion is not going to put me in that water. Move my triangle around so that it all fits, and then now this line up the middle, because my dispersion personally is pretty much equal left and right. So I put the line right up the middle for my aiming spot. Other people may have to go a little more left if you do a lot left to right, or you know, whatever. But I put mine right up the middle. So that long line then gives me an idea of where, you know, my aiming point is going to be off the tee. And then, you know, from there, you just, when you get to the course, you just pop it open, you look at it, bang, there's that tree I was looking at online. Now I have no questions about anything. I just go there, I find that tree, I line it up, I hit it, I move on, I look at my book again for the greens, do the same thing on the greens. You can mark on the greens too, where it's, you know, over here, there's this bunker that looks really deep. I don't want to be there. If the pin's back here, I don't want to be back here. If it's short side, all types of stuff that you can do. And I'm nutso and do it, obviously. So, I don't know if that was helpful at all, Brian, but, Mitch got me down a rabbit hole. So that's,
I think this version,
you can dive a lot more into it than just kind of looking at, like a scoring app for sure.
I think understanding dispersion really would be useful. Right. I think back to that event I played, the Net Championship, and you know, I knew my miss was right, so I kind of aimed down the left side, thinking it's the first swing. Maybe I'll miss slightly right. I'll be in the middle, and I hit it dead straight, and I pounded the ball right into the tall grass off the left side, and left myself a very challenging second shot once I found the ball. So I think really, you know, if I were to do one thing, maybe it's really pay attention to dispersion. And I kind of really like that, you know, you drew that on your map so you knew, you know, for that hole, kind of what, you know,
Sure.
the variety of places that ball could end up.
So I can give you another tip. We were going to pass on doing the tip of the week this week. Just, I think we were probably going to pass on doing that when we have guests on. I think we decided that, Mitch. But if whatever I just said about Google Earth doesn't count as that, this is the tip that I'm going to give directly to Brian to figure out your shot dispersion with your driver. It's going to be really, really easy. So when you go to the driving range when it gets warm enough, you're going to also use Google Earth for this. You're going to go to the driving range and you're going to hit your drivers, but you need to pay really close attention to where your driver is going onto the driving range, like where the balls are going, and either use bring a piece of paper with you or something and just note, like, I hit this ball left and it lined up with X house in the background or something. Find something that you might be able to find on GPS and then do the same with the right. And then, then now you have your cone. Now you go on to GPS, and there's a little measurement stick on Google Earth that you just take the stick and you start it at the one point on your left point and you drag it over to the right point, and that's your dispersion. You can do it really, really easily just with Google Earth and just mentally mapping where your left and your right balls are. Obviously, you don't take if you big time flare one out right, or like big duck hook one, leave those out. Like those are gonna be bad no matter if you plan for a bad shot or good or whatever. You want to take the ones where you're like, hey, I hit that one mostly kind of sort of good. That's my left one, not like the duck hook. We don't want to plan for the duck hooks. They're just going to be bad shots anyway. So there's your tip on how to find your driver dispersion when you go to the driving range, Brian.
That is a way to do it. I was just going to plug Shot Pattern here. That's it. And if Shot Pattern is listening, which he should be sponsoring the show. But
yeah, that's a great idea. We could use some sponsors.
I know, right? Anyway, I would just say use Shot Pattern. That's what I used last year, and it's super easy. It has the GPS in there. You just press when you're hitting the shot, and then you press to where your ball ended, and then it's just going to give you that natural dispersion that you can look up. And I mean, more than likely, you're gonna be in like a 30 to 40 yard left and right pattern. But knowing where you're missing the majority of them will help you with alignment. And I think that's important, not just for you, but for anybody that's listening, is understanding where your ball is most likely to go. That way, when you're lining up your shot, it's not aiming directly at that long grass. Maybe it's 20 yards left of center versus whatever it happened to be, 30, 40 yards, so that you take in the left miss too.
For sure. And I will add, really quickly, I'll just add sort of on top of that, using your dispersion from your rounds is way better than whatever you do in the driving range. So what Mitch said you should definitely do. But to get like your first one, you can definitely just go to the driving range and do it. But definitely use, if you can get it, use your dispersion from your rounds, because those are the shots that you're hitting when they matter. Driving range, not always. So,
the shot pattern, they're great as well. I chatted with them, and they gave me talked to them, and I like the app. My clubs came with Arcos, and I use Arcos quite a bit. Thousands of shots, on course shots in Arcos. But I don't think it gives me. Maybe it does, and I'm just not seeing where it is in the app. I'll have to look again, but I would think I would have some reasonable dispersion patterns, in that app itself.
I don't think Arcos gives you left to right. They give you short and long, which is helpful, but I think left and right, I don't think they do that for you. They should. I think they have the capabilities to do that. What's that?
Slide into Lou's DMs and let them know. We need lateral dispersion, not just long and short.
I would be shocked if he hasn't already brought that up.
Yeah, same. Yeah, so as far as anything else, course management, is there anything else that you struggle with? Is it more just aim points and understanding where you should be hitting the ball off the tee?
I think aim points. I think understanding, starting to understand a little bit more strokes gained. I looked at or watched some of the decade stuff as well, right? So, beyond just trying to hit it far, right? As you get closer to the green based on pin location, I mean, I really try to aim just right, and I do that just to try to. Once again, dispersion's pretty big. I'm not often trying to attack flags in the back corner. I'm just trying to get on the green. So that's one thing I've taught myself to do, is just try to find the widest part and hit that. And try to make the strokes up with putting. Obviously, I think maybe that will at some point limit, but I think that's a lot of what I see, or I think I understand, is dispersions are there. Don't attack flags. Hit the widest part. And take it from there. Also, not trying not to be short-sighted, right? Things like that. Trying to give myself an opportunity if I do miss that, I can make the chip, as opposed to being short-sighted over a bunker. Um, ending up in situations like that.
Yeah, you made an interesting point. Like, you said something along the lines of when the pin's in the like a back pin, you're not attacking it. But something I'd be curious about to learn from how you do your approach shots is, let's say it is a front flag and you have, let's say, 134 yards and it's 7 yards on the front edge. How would you approach a shot like that? Are you trying to hit it, 135 yards, or what would you do there?
Yeah, if the pin's so you're saying the pin's at like 134, 7 yards off the front, so that would be 124 or
Yeah, yeah,
127 to the front,
yeah.
and there's space behind. I'd probably hit. I'd be between clubs. I'd be between like a wedge and a nine. So I'd probably hit a wedge. I'd probably muscle up and hit a full wedge as opposed to trying to take some off a nine. And that would probably put me, I'd aim, that would probably be right around the center of the green, right? If there was a lot of trouble up front, I would take more club. And I think far too often, I probably don't take enough club, to be honest with you.
That is the case
be
for
honest
most people.
with the world here, I probably don't take enough club. My playing partner often tells me, take another one, right? Because of the miss hits, because of, other things that impact, actually getting to where you want to be.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as you were talking there. I was like, said wedge, but I feel like that's kind of hitting the max of your wedge, right? Like you have to hit a perfect shot. But in golf, I mean, how often do you hit a perfect shot? It's pretty rare. So I think I would challenge you with one thing this year, and that is to just take another club. When you're in between like that, take the longer club and account for the miss hit. If you hit it long, fine, but more often than not, you're probably going to be coming up short. So that's one thing that I would challenge you with this year.
I would agree with that, right? I've left myself plenty of, missing short, or, it's in the back and I have a 50-footer.
It is an interesting mental dilemma there. It's you can tell that to everybody. Almost everybody misses most of their shots short of whatever they were aiming at. So it's not a specific to you thing. It's specific to everybody thing. And the problem is, I think it's two problems actually. The first problem is an ego problem, where people want to be able to say, I hit a pitching wedge X yards and that's pretty far, or something like that. People want to feel like they're hitting the ball far no matter what club's in their hand. So if you mentally stand up to the ball and say, I think I could get a pitching wedge there, but I'm actually going to put a 9-iron in my hand, actually, like, mentally is like, oh, but now I'm weak. Almost people feel like that. So that's one of the issues. The other issue then is the what if I flush this thing? And we are always thinking, like, what if I hit the perfect shot, especially on par threes? What if I hit the perfect shot and that means I'm not going to make it? Again, mentally, we really want to feel like when we flush a ball on a par three and it's like, dang, I hit that as good as I could possibly do, we want to feel like that ball's going to go in the hole. It feels really weird to think that when I hit the ball and I kind of toe hook it a little bit, that also probably has a good chance of going, as good of a chance as flushing the ball might, going in the hole. So that's the other part, is it's like we have to somehow get it out of our mind that we absolutely if we don't flush the ball, then, or we have to plan for not flushing the ball, and that just feels weird. It's a mental hurdle to get over. It's a lot of things in golf are mental hurdles, but that's a really big one, and it's something that really, really good golfers are really, really good at. They're really good at shedding that and saying, it doesn't matter if I flush it. What matters is I make contact and it kind of goes where it needs to go. And if it gets lucky and goes close to the hole, great.
There was
That's probably 3 strokes right there.
yeah.
It 100% is. It'll save you a lot more than you think. All right.
All right. Well, let's we can start to wrap this up here a little bit if you want, but want to give Brian the opportunity. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you were hoping to cover or that you wrote down prior to the show that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think, for me, and I think this could help a lot of people, my golf got a lot better when I paid a little bit more attention to like the fitness and the speed training and, strategy is part of it, right? So, I wouldn't, if you want to get better at golf, I would say, pay attention to those areas as well. And I could talk for hours about strength training and physical therapy and, Mike Carroll and the Fit for Golf app and like all the other sorts of like tools I've used, right? So it's more than just, for me, at least, it's more than just the coaching side of it and practice. There's a lot that goes into like the fitness and the health and all those things made a big difference. So maybe that's another time. Maybe we'll come back, talk about Dubai, the Pro-Am. But
Yeah, I would love to hear about all that for sure.
I would love to talk a lot more about fitness and golf and how that's related. And because I still think especially a lot of the old heads, they're still stuck in, don't lift because it's going to ruin your short game and stuff like that. You lose the touch. And I just don't think that's true at all. But yeah, you have to strength train. It's great for your health, but it's also good for your golf game and longevity in golf, right? Like, I mean, people want to play golf into their 80s. I mean, how are you going to do that if you're in a walker, right? Like, you got to be physically active.
100%. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, Brian, it's been great to chat with you. We should have you back on once you get back from Dubai because I want to hear about that, and then we can. We definitely can and should dive into more of the training aspect of getting better at golf because obviously the swing is important, all that other stuff important, but being in shape and being able to hit the ball a little bit farther also super important. And you two would know more about that than me. So we should do that if you would like to come back eventually, Brian.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Sweet.
I appreciate you guys having me. It's been a lot of fun. And like I think I said in the message, it's nice to talk to people that want to hear about all of my golf stories and all of the day-to-day things I do to get better at golf. I think I'm wearing that out at home. So
yeah. We'll probably do that more, right, Mitch? We'll just grab people and just chat with them about their golf game. Maybe we can give them some tips occasionally because we're both decent golfers. We've gone through a lot of the struggles and stuff that everybody else is going through. So yeah, I loved the chat. I loved hearing about your improvement and all the things you got going on, and it was awesome. So. Yeah, Mitch, you got anything else before we close it on out of here?
I do not.
Alrighty. Well, appreciate everybody for hanging out. Thanks, Brian, for hanging out. Brian will be back to chat with us and brag about Dubai. What do we gotta do? The like, subscribe, follow. What are all the
comment, share?
Yeah, do
everything.
all.
It's all good for the algorithm, right?
Yeah. Do the algorithm things. Do all those, please, because it's good for us. And if you guys like hanging out, that's how you get the notifications. So do those things, and Mitch and I will be back next Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Normal Time.